Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about players that I think have either been stars or busts relative to their average draft position, or ADP, in ESPN fantasy head-to-head points leagues this season. So I know it's early, but we're just going to talk about whether I think you should make a trade involving these players or not, or whether you should just let them stay on your team. So I guess we'll just get started here. Now, the first player I want to talk about is the thumbnail of this video, Devin Booker. So his average draft position at the start of this season was 14.5, and my verdict on him is that he's a bust for now. Now, that might seem controversial, but hear me out. So, he's averaging less points per game, less field goal attempts, and mainly, it's the fucking turnovers, man. Like, it's really limiting the ceiling on fantasy due to the lack of peripheral stats he has if he's just going to turn the ball over so much. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still a good fantasy player, but I was expecting him to make the jump to a top 10 fantasy player with Chris Paul. I mean, after the improvement he made with a pass first point guard like Rubio, it seemed like it was going to go completely in the other direction for Booker, but as it's been so far, he's been quite disappointing. Now, there is the chance that he remembers how to hold on to a basketball, so I would definitely hold on to him now if he's on your team, and if he's not, I would consider trading for him because his value right now is probably as low as it'll get for the entire season. Next player I want to talk about is Christian Wood. So his ADP at the start of the season was 65.6, and my verdict is that he's been a star in comparison to this. Wood has been absolutely incredible from a fantasy perspective. He's putting up 23 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks, all while only shooting 28% from 3. I think this 3-point percentage will definitely increase, so even has room for improvement on the fantasy front. Playing with James Harden is definitely helping him as they're pretty much a perfect pick and roll pairing on offense. So right now Wood is playing like a top 20 fantasy player, and I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon. If you have him on your team, I would not consider moving him. If someone in your league is dumb enough to trade him, go ahead and take advantage. Because even if Harden is to get traded this season, and I know there's a ton of rumors, Wood will still be able to catch lobs from Wall, and the trade might even improve his fantasy performance by opening up more shot attempts. Now we have our first bust of the video, and that is Al Horford. His ADP was only 77.1, but he has been an absolute scrub from a fantasy perspective. If you're in the same boat as me and you drafted him thinking that who the hell else is going to score on the Thunder other than SGA, we can be clowns together, because he has been an absolute bum. He is averaging 8 points a game, he's resting on back-to-backs, and he's only playing 26 minutes a game. If he's on your team, I would try to trade him as soon as you can, but I don't even think the Thunder will be able to trade him in real life with that awful contract. So I think he is going to remain on their team. And even if that is the case, I can't foresee him getting much better for fantasy as the Thunder are on their way to Cade Cunningham and they don't care if he's bad anyway. So I would definitely try to get rid of him. And if he keeps up these kind of performances, I could see him getting dropped to the waiver wire pretty soon. Next up, we have Nikola Jokic. So his ADP was 4.0, and my verdict is that he has been an absolute superstar. Jokic has been the best fantasy player so far this season, and I can't see him falling any lower than the fourth best player in fantasy by the end of the year. Most players, you're ecstatic when they miss a shot or turn the ball over, just like acquire some negative fantasy points. But with Jokic, it's gotten to the point that when you're playing against him for the week, you're just relieved when a possession goes by that he doesn't register a fantasy point, let alone a negative. He has a goddamn cheat code, and he's also a thickie, so you can't really ask for more, honestly. People that picked him for their teams are definitely cheesing right now, so do not trade him under any circumstance if he is on your team. I don't think you have much of a shot of getting him from another team as well. So Nikola Jokic has been absolutely awesome, like I said, and I don't see it slowing down. So if you drafted him, props to you. So now we move on to another bust, and that is Donovan Mitchell. So his average draft position at the start of the season was 27.7. Now, like Horford, I may have also drafted him, but it's all good because I traded him, like you should too. His efficiency has plummeted to start the season, and even if it picks up, there won't be that much improvement on his fantasy numbers. His assist to turnover ratio is almost zero, and his lack of any other peripheral stats really hurts him when he's primarily an inefficient scorer. I don't blame Dono entirely, as the Jazz's offense has been pretty poop and he's had to chuck up the shots he's taking. Anyway, I would go ahead and trade him while the hype from last year is still attached to his name, before people realize he's not as good of a fantasy player as his ADP would expect him to be. Finally, the last player I want to talk about is Jaylen Brown. So his ADP at the start of the season was 68, exactly. So my verdict for how he's performed so far in comparison to that is that he has been a star. As a Celtics fan, I am so relieved with the progress he's made this season. He's gone from making me cringe every time he shot the ball in his first few seasons in the league to me praying that he or Tatum shoot the ball every single time down the floor when Kemba's out. I mean, aside from the short king, Peyton Pritchard, of course, showed out for that game winner the other day. Now, Jalen's efficiency might dip slightly by the end of the season, as he is shooting 4 more attempts than last season and shooting 55% from the field. However, he's solidified his mid-range game, and I don't think his field goal percentage will go that much lower. Once again, people that took a chance on Jaylen Brown early are cheesing right now. I wouldn't recommend trading him either if he's on your team, as he's made that leap to a certified all-star level player, and it would be hard to get equal compensation in return. So that concludes my first fantasy video on this channel, and I thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps you with your fantasy season. I plan on making more of these videos in the future, so leave any potential trades or topics you want to talk about in the comments below, and I hope you guys have a great day.